Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy and excited that you are all attending my webinar about the power of Western master plans. I see people from all over Europe tonight with me. Thank you very much for connecting with me. Oh, from Belgium, from Spain, from Portugal, from the UK and Ireland, Germany, and a couple of people from the Netherlands. Thank you very much, my home country. It feels amazing to connect with you all. Thank you for being here and spending your precious time with me tonight. I would also like to take this opportunity and thank my husband, who's doing the technical stuff, my teachers, my ancestors, and all the Indigenous people from all around the world who are really the custodians of their land. And of course, the plant spirits who I've met over the years for the knowledge and the wisdom they bestowed upon me. For all of you who don't know me, I am Anki. I'm a plant nerd and I'm the founder of the Plant Spirit Group. I've been on the plant medicine path for more than 25 years. I've worked, lived, and studied on 5 different continents, where I had the opportunity to experience the healing traditions and the cultural customs of different cultures. With the Plant Spirit Group, I've made it my mission to revive the ancient knowledge and tradition of Western master plant diets in Europe. And I want to share this with many people as possible. Let me explain a bit how my journey started. When I was in Peru many years ago, I learned about the tradition of dieting plants and trees. I experienced and learned all about the benefits of the healing and protective powers plant spirits can bestow upon you, and how this tradition is still a significant part in all of the Amazon. It was when I started to wonder if such a tradition also existed in Western Europe, and this thought didn't leave me alone. I felt an increasingly strong desire to diet plants and trees that grew in my own backyard and came from my home country, instead of dieting Amazonian plants. I discussed this in Peru with the local maestra I was dieting with, Mama Rosa, and she confirmed that the use of master plants was not limited to the Amazonian regions, and she saw a lot of plant and tree spirits in my field that she didn't recognize. So I decided to research. I was familiar, of course, with different natural European healing methods, such as homeopathy, aromatherapy, and phytotherapy. But I could not think of any tradition that used Western plant diets to make contact with the spirit of the plants, or use this practice as an ally or a guide to heal people and yourself. Initially, my research entailed doing a lot of ceremonial work, journeying with the drum, and also working with ayahuasca, San Pedro, and the mushrooms. With this intention, I had to find out more about the practice that once must have existed in Europe as well. In one of my journeys, I was shown a symbol of the triple spiral, which is also known as the triskeles or the triskelion. This is a Greek word. It means 3 legs. The triskelion made appearances across Europe and is believed to represent the 3 worlds, the physical, the spiritual, and the celestial world. Journeying through this symbol revealed many more ancient healing practices and traditions, particularly in the Celtic healing tradition or Druids, as this symbol is widely seen there. During the past years, I have collected a wealth of knowledge about Western master plants and diets. This webinar aims to give you some insights into Western master plant diets. I want to hear from you, and I love to hear your questions. Please send me your message and ask me your questions in the chat if you want to. And at the end of the webinar, there should be enough time to answer these questions, and also maybe during the webinar, depending on what questions you have for me. If I cannot answer them all, I will come back to you in the next coming years via email. So let's start with the outline of the webinar. I'm going to talk to you about what a master plant diet is and what it's like to make contact with the plant spirit, how powerful and transformative the process of a diet can be, why you would do a master plant diet, and how to select the right plant or tree, the benefits of dieting a local plant from the comforts of your own home, and how to receive the most benefits from a diet, and the importance of proper guidance. So what is a master plant diet? The definition is really, it's a complex, strict, and rigorous system through which a teacher plant transmits healing, protection, guidance, and sacred wisdom to the participant. You can also define it as a sort of an agreement between you and a particular plant spirit. The terms of the agreement are determined together with your guide prior to the diet taking place, as your guide will be able to look in your energy field and recommend what plant conditions and dietary restrictions will be applicable for you to make connection with the plant spirit. Sometimes the motivation to do a diet comes from the request or suggestion of the plant spirit. This can happen, for instance, in a dream. A plant spirit may present him or herself to you and suggest you start a diet with her. Or it can be that you already feel a connection with a particular plant and decide to undertake a diet. In the Amazonian tradition, you have a choice between a diet in isolation or a social or soft diet. The depth of a diet is not inherent to being in solitude or isolation, in my opinion. On the contrary, a social diet has the benefit that it allows you to continue with your day-to-day activities and duties. You can continue to go to your work and be part of your friends and family's activities. So when you embark on a plant diet, you get intimately involved with the plant or tree. To make this process work, you need to dedicate time and energy to the plants. For this to work, you will need to follow a healthy and wholesome daily routine with certain rituals, and you will consume a tincture made of the plant or tree twice daily for a set amount of time. And I will guide you through this process. In return, the plant spirit will interact with you. And I mean, the spirit of the plant is an archetype, not a particular plant in the field you know. Of course, that is a sort of prototype that is recognizable for all of us. He or she can show herself in a dream, as I already said before, and communicates to you in the form of a symbol, which happened to me in the Triskelion, which I already had a story about. Or you will experience synchronicities, meet people that have something to say to you, or find a particular book on the shelf that might interest you. He or she can bestow healing powers upon you, or it can be felt on a more energetic level. Sometimes it feels like energetic surge. So how can you make contact with the plant spirit whilst you're on a master plant diet? There are many methods. One of the methods is the shamanic journey. You can journey up or down the axis mundi, which is the world tree, on the beat of a drum, just like the ancient shamans did before you, into the lower or into the upper world. I have learned how to journey from Michael Hahn, and I can wholeheartedly recommend his protocol. His protocol is described in the classic handbook on practical shamanism, which I have here, The Way of the Shaman. Let me see, can you see that? A shaman means a seer who is able to navigate in the spirit world. Shamanism really is a method to open a door and enter into a different reality. I love Michael Harner's method, and journeying has been a part of my spiritual practice for many years. When you journey, you are in an altered state of consciousness, what Michael Harner calls the shamanic state of consciousness. It is here where you can go on adventures, meet plant spirits, power or totem animals, and lots and lots more. I can describe this process in short and share one of my journeys I had with muckwood. I won't explain exactly how the spirit of muckwood looks into too much detail, because I do not want to fill in your experience when you journey with muckwood yourself one day. So my journey starts with carefully following all the steps to get into the entry into the lower world, which for me is a cave. I walk into the opening and follow the path until it becomes narrower and narrower, so that I have to crawl and squeeze myself in further into the earth until I reach a hatch, which I push open and squeeze myself through. This for me is how I enter the lower world. And I enjoy looking at the stunning landscape that unfolds there. It is really, really beautiful. I start calling out for Mugwort. I call her by her ancient name, which is Un. And as soon as I start calling, she shows herself in time. And this time she showed herself into like a swirling rainbow. And she started swirling around me. And immediately her energy started mixing and merging with my energy field. It really felt like a sort of a dance. It felt like an energetic cleanse, detangling and redirecting my energy field. This process continues until I feel renewed and healed and invigorated. Then I hear the call back of the drum, and I quickly retrace and very carefully the same steps that I came in, so that I come back into my body. And, this is really important, that you retrace the exact steps. And Michael Harner teaches you this in his book, or you can follow, of course, one of his workshops. So this whole experience had a profound healing impact on me. I felt so relaxed and invigorated after. A meeting with a plant spirit can have all sorts of impact on you. It can also inspire you to make art and unleash your creativity. Maybe you feel like exploring drawing or painting or making music or perhaps writing poetry after meeting a plant spirit. And maybe this is for the first time since you were very young. Creativity is a very important tool to express your emotions and feelings, and it's great therapy for the heart and the soul. There are lots of artists who have felt inspired after meeting a plant spirit and have made amazing artwork that is of tremendous beauty and speaks to my imagination. In this slide, I picked two artworks. One of is of Martina Hoffman and the other one is Pablo Abonino. And they are just, to name a few, they do a wonderful job expressing their encounter with the plant spirits. And you can see in Martina's painting that she is a snake, and she also has wings, and the particular female spirit. And I often wonder what plant that she picked. It's not really clear, and she doesn't really write about it. And then, of course, there's Pablo Amarengo. Very, very beautiful. I've got his book. And if you are interested in seeing more plants, drawings and more art, then you can buy his book. Can you see this? This is a fantastic book for her. Very inspirational. So, okay, let's continue. Yeah. Where were we? So when you embark on a master plant diet, you will notice a shift in your feelings and emotions. This process is very personal and unique for everyone. It takes you through your own healing process and will ultimately result in an experience of wholeness and harmony. But plant diets are not a quick fix. They provide insights and they create clarity and they strengthen your self-healing capabilities. But nothing happens if you don't act on the insights you get. They show you the way and they can lead you in a certain direction, but you have to do the walking. This is very important to realize. The healing capacities of plants have been used for thousands of years by many classical and shamanic traditions around the world, for physical and for mental healing purposes, but also as a rite of passage to obtain protection and guidance, and also to connect, of course, with the plant spirit to obtain guidance and sacred wisdom. In Western Europe, most of this knowledge and practices were destroyed during medieval time by the Catholic Church and by the priests that were responsible for the Inquisition. Local healers who used the healing properties of nature were seen as devil worshippers and a threat to the authority of the Catholic Church. Only the power of their God was an acceptable means to heal people, and plants were demonized. Priests practiced horrendous ways of torture and instilled fear into people's heart for thinking the natural way. We are still dealing with these outdated concepts today, as some plants are still seen as dangerous and some are even forbidden. And you can still be charged for having them in your possession and go to jail even. Fortunately, bits and pieces of the ancient knowledge are still available, mostly written by, strangely enough, the same priests who would document the stories people tell when they were interrogated, when they were accused of witchcraft. Fortunately, we had a revival in the Western traditional usage of healing properties of the plants. To name a few: homeopathy, phytotherapy, aromatherapy, Bach, flower essences, and naturopathic medicines. Although I cheer on this revival, and I'm very grateful for all these different disciplines, everything is far from great. The pharmaceutical industry is constantly trying to synthesize the healing properties of plants so they can standardize, patent, and make huge profits from them. And that this is done usually without acknowledging the indigenous people who often show these scientists the healing properties of plants in the first place, especially in the Amazon. This has been and still is rampant. Big Pharma only uses that one aspect of the plant, and they forget and leave out the most important thing and part of the healing, which is the higher spiritual consciousness of the plant spirit. This aspect has been, and with a few exceptions, like Rudolf Steiner's anthroposophy and Hildegard von Binger's philosophy, completely neglected by Western medicine. I don't know if you're familiar with Hildegard von Bingen, but in case you are not, let me tell you something more about this power woman. Hildegard von Bingen was a German Benedictine abbess who lived in the 11th century. She was an accomplished writer, composer, philosopher, mystic, and visionary. She was also a prolific medical writer and practitioner during the High Middle Ages. But Hildegard is more than just a collector of herbal remedies, which were so plentiful in the monastic tradition of her time. She obtained her knowledge through spiritual visions in which she experienced the properties of the plants. Hildegard believed that nature is the direct expression of the divine imagination. In Hildegard's words, in all creation, trees, plants, animals, and gemstones, there are hidden secret powers which no person can know of unless they are revealed by God. Hildegard was very much aware of the spirit in plants and trees and knew that they were part of the whole. She truly believed and experienced the divine in all creation. I love how passionate she speaks about plants and trees, and how she could feel ecstatic when she encountered the plant spirits. In her books, she often speaks of them as the higher spiritual consciousness in plants and trees. And I've got one of her books, which is a direct translation by Priscilla True, of her Physica. There she is, sitting, writing down. And this one, amongst others, because there are so many books about Hildegard, and also check out this one. Is a doctor called Richard Steenholm. Really fantastic book to have. Anyway, I could speak for hours about Hildegard, but let's continue with the webinar. Okay, speaking about this higher spiritual consciousness of master plant teacher par excellence, ayahuasca. I had a very powerful experience with this phenomenon in Brazil that I would like to share with you. It happened in a very special place called Spirit Vine, which is run by the wonderful Sylvia Polivoy. And there you can see where her maloka is. I'm pointing at the other screen. So yeah, it's a beautiful place. But my experience was this one: the amazement and awe. But what I saw, but what I actually more experienced, the intricate patterns, the vivid colors, and what seemed like a particular song or sound coming from the visions of ayahuasca swirling through the maloka. Wow, that was amazing. I can still see it in front of me. These visions spoke to me, and it felt like I was part of something greater than just my tiny little self. This was a profound experience for me. A few years later, though, something similar happened to me in a different context. I traveled to Peru because I was very curious about the traditional setting and the customs in the Amazon. There I had the opportunity to sit with the local Shipibo people in many, many traditional ceremonies. When the medicine started to work and one of the maestras began to sing a peculiar high-pitched plant, a spirit song called an Icaro, I clearly saw the same patterns that I saw in Brazil, but this time it was quite a different experience. The intricate patterns, I really saw that these were the spirits of the plant, and they were coming in and out of Mama Rosa's, the maestra's mouth, and swirling through the maloca. They came directly from the plant. I marveled at the tones and different whispers and patterns. My dog is barking at the moment. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm really distracted by it. Sorry, my husband is going to try and fix that. Probably a bird in our garden. Anyway, some of these patterns are also expressed in textiles, pottery, and art, and of course in the embroidery of the clothes, the maestras and the maestros wear in the kushmas that they wear. So every plant and tree had a particular icaro and a particular pattern. And if you spend a lot of time with the maestros from the Shipibo culture, you will learn these icaros and you get to know them more intimately. So if you have never heard an icaro before, please listen to this beautiful one from Maester Sylvia. Wow, beautiful. Hey, so when I started, okay, saying something else. No? Okay, so when I started dieting Western master plants, I was delighted to hear that these local plants and trees also had healing songs to share. And one of the first healing songs I received was actually from the willow tree. And it's very similar to the icaros that I've heard in Peru. So I've learned a few songs since, and one of my favorite is the nettle. And she just has this wonderful icaro, well, if I can call it icaro, healing songs, probably better. And I've made a copy, I've made an on Instagram, so you can have a listen to it. It's called a recording, not a copy. Anyway, as I already mentioned before, it is my mission and passion to revive the ancient traditions of master plant diets in Western Europe. After some digging into several old and original texts, I found numerous songs practices related to the customs related to master plant diets. For example, I found out that there were women, medicine women, who were called galdo singers. These women would sing a particular song to plants before they would harvest them, during their harvest, and then when they would prepare the medicine for their patients. They would also sing that particular song when they were administering the medicine over the patient. So this is an old tradition we have. So to invoke the powers and the virtues of plants and trees, they would sing to the spirit. Only a few songs, unfortunately, have survived the terrible witch hunting practices. And one of them is called the 9-herb spell or charm, which is the Nikon Wirta Gal. The 9 herbs charm invokes the power of the plants against all sorts of ailments. And besides the healing aspects of herbs and plants, it also contains references to the supernatural and magical elements of herbal remedies. The charm has reference to the Anglo-Saxon Christian elements and includes a mention of the major German god Woden or Odin. It also contains remedies for pain, eye diseases, headaches, heart pain, toothaches, and swelling. The 9 herbs charm also lists a recipe, and this is great, that is described as a holy drink for elfish magic and for all temptations of the devil. The original manuscript still exists and currently resides in London's British Museum. So check that out. The 9 herbs charm is composed of 9 powerful plants and is sung over the patient by a Galder singer, as I mentioned before. Prior to administering the remedy, the Galder singer invoked the help of the spirit of the 9 plants. One by one, she called on each plant and addressed them like they had a very intimate relationship. Could it be that the singer dieted all these particular plants? Or would the knowledge more come through intuition or ancestors, or the deep connection, of course, the Galder singers had to nature? Or maybe it was both. The manuscript also mentions how important it is that before you gather plant material, you let the plant know that you're coming, and also the purpose of healing, the specific illness and the specific patient. I can talk for hours about this topic. Oh, here's a question. Hello. Oh, from Pete. Oh, his question is, what herbs are part of the 9 herbs charm? Yes, of course. Let me think. Mugwort, plantain, lamb's cress, chervil, nettle, chamomile, which one did I forget? Fennel, oh yeah, and crab apple. So I also have the recipe for you. So combine the same quantities of all herbs, except for the crab apple, because you need to juice them. And together with some water, a little bit of ashes from the fire, and a piece of old soap, combine them in a pestle and mortar, and blend it well until you have a nice paste. And this blend you can use for all the ailments that I used to describe. But of course, you need to sing it when you do it, this charm. So check it out if you can find it on the internet somewhere. Just try it. You know it's what's going on. So let's continue before I drift off again. So how powerful and transformative is a diet? Master plant diets are very powerful. They modify states of consciousness. They deepen the connection to yourself, the plant world, and Mother Earth. They increase your focus, stamina, and your energy levels. They stimulate your bodies they stimulate your body's innate ability to self-heal. This is really a mouthful. They purify your body, mind, and spirit, and they allow you to deal better with the strong visions, they call Maya Son, that you can experience during a plant ceremony with ayahuasca, for example. Also, within these ayahuasca ceremonies, they provide energetic and psychic protection to you, which is really beneficial. Doesn't matter if you're a facilitator of ceremonies or if you're a participant or a pasajero, as they say, or you work as an energy healer or similar. So do you want me to elaborate about the above points? Oh yeah, I've got a question from Tina from Germany. Hello. What plant or tree in particular will protect you during an ayahuasca ceremony? Oh, this is a great question. Thank you. Well, we have a lot of choice. The first one that comes to mind is actually a tree or a shrub. It's the juniper. The juniper is strongly protective. It protects during journeying, it protects during ayahuasca ceremony, and it really wards off evil. So it sets a sort of a seal of protection around you if you are if you have befriended that plant spirit, of course. Nettle is also a good one. Already the plant creates like boundaries. So, you know, when you touch a nettle, you get stung. So when you diet this plant, very strong, it's very strong feminine spirit. You are better able to create healthy boundaries. And of course, there's the rowan. The rowan is already an ancient and traditional tree that helps to protect you against magic and enchantments. They used to have a rowan twig in their pocket when they would travel and they would walk for long stretches to uncharted territory. Okay, I hope that answered your question. So let's continue. Together with the insight and clarity that a master plant can provide, they are also a catalyst for your transformation in your process. So let me compare this with a session with a psychologist, for example. So with a psychologist, you'll be talking about your challenges and traumas, and mostly that will be intellectualized in your head. The fact is really that talking cannot heal you. Talking about your challenges and traumas may give you an intellectual understanding of what's going on, and which of course can ease the pain for a short while, but it'd be more like a band-aid on a sort of festering wound. It really doesn't heal you. This notion is very well researched by a lot of people, and is also described by Stan, the man, as I call him, or Stanislav Grof, in one of his books, The Way of the Psychonaut, Volume 1. I have this book here. Yeah. Okay, and I can read you a little passage, which is about this. All right. Intellectual knowledge of a trauma is useless. Its harmful action will continue until we discharge it. Then it rises into consciousness and can be assimilated. This is really a very short sentence that I picked up from the whole book. But yes, this is really it. So why should you diet a plant, and who can benefit from it? Plant diets help to unravel the traumas that are stuck into your cells. A master plant diet will not make your challenges or traumas go away. Traumatic experiences are present in every cell of your body. A plant diet brings your challenges to the surface, where they can be absorbed and dissipated, resulting in a situation where it's no longer a hindrance for you to flourish. Now, how wonderful is that? So, if you have experienced physical, emotional, or sexual trauma, and you feel insecure, unworthy, you will definitely benefit from a plant diet. Or maybe you feel estranged from your true self and nature. You have lost your touch with your intuition and your connection with nature. It feels amazing. As soon as you start working with the spirit of Western plants, you get the direct wisdom of that the ancestors have left us. Not all is lost. You can still rediscover this in the realm of the collective spirit of plants and trees. They are inviting us, and they want to share their knowledge and wisdom. You just have to accept the call. Or are you drowning in a never-ending stream of information from social media, for example, and you no longer feel your authentic self? So once you immerse yourself in the information stream of the plants, your life will be enhanced with authentic knowledge. Find out for yourself what it's like to rediscover the sacredness of your own land and the wisdom spirit has to offer. Or perhaps you have this constant peer pressure to conform, out of fear for missing out, or maybe lack the confidence to choose your own path. Plants can really assist you in all these topics. So the good news is that you can regain your self-confidence, reclaim control of your own life, and rediscover your true self again with the help of a master. I have seen this happen in clients. I have studied and researched it for years, but most importantly, I've experienced it myself, both as a participant and as a facilitator. So master plants are truly powerful. Let a plant be your guru. Yeah, so how to select the right plant or tree? Selecting a plant or tree very much depends on your personal situation. In what area do you need support? What skill would you like to develop? Or what plant or tree already attracts you? If you don't have a clue, I am here to help you. A bigger tree is not usually the great way to start, especially when you're new to diet. A great starting plant, and also one of my favorites, which I dieted many times, is mugwort or Artemisia. I mean, she is really the mother of all herbs. She's a spirit weaver. She brings a lot of insight on the sacred feminine, and there's so many layers of her. As I said, I've dieted her a couple of times, and she has shown me many of her layers. I could actually write a whole book about her. So some people are called to a certain plant or tree after reading and learning about them, while others need a bit more support in finding the right choice. I can usually see a particular plant or tree in your field within a few minutes, but I will still ask questions for you to verify. So I can give you an example of a client who was not new to dieting, and he came to me really wanting to do a Western diet. And I looked in his field and I immediately saw this huge tree in his field. And it was a Dutch tree called an iep, which they're quite rare. But I didn't know the English words. So I asked him, I said, Erik, what do you have? What's going on in your life? And he said, I have a really bad gallbladder infection, and I've got acid reflux, and there's so much going on in my digestion. I really want some help. And I didn't know the English word. So we looked up iep, and it said elm, and then it all fell into place, because slippery elm is a medicine that's widely used in the Americas and everywhere, and also in Europe, as to combat digestive issues. So there you go. It was just a really powerful plant or powerful tree that was in his field that I saw. And one that I didn't even diet back then, but I since did, and I can tell you, it's a magnificent tree. Anyway, where was I again before I just go off into a tangent? Oh yeah, dieting, the benefits of dieting a local plant from the comforts of your own home. Yeah. People regularly tell me how much they would like to travel to the Amazon to experience plant medicine ceremony and to do a master plant diet. I do understand, and I've been there myself, but most people have quite a romantic image of traveling to the Amazon. Doing a ceremony and a master plant diet, usually in isolation, in a tropical environment is seriously hardcore. Having to travel for days on end, over rivers, over muddy paths, ending up far away from the nearest town, in the jungle, and then living in a really simple, basic hut with no electricity, if you're unlucky, a leaking roof in the monsoon, no facilities, and only river water to drink. I mean, that's not even the worst. The worst for me was the relentless mosquitoes. They not only give you the worst possible itch ever, but they cause tropical diseases like Zika, malaria, and dengue. Think about that. So I've experienced that all, the stomach bug, the parasite, the wild animals, and even Zika, I've had that. So my point is, doing a diet in the comfort of your own home, that is such a huge benefit. So you can ask yourself, why would I diet a plant or a tree that's unfamiliar with me? Why not choose a plant that grows in my backyard or that is native to the area that you grew up in? So actually, why not befriend the spirit of a local tree or a plant? And this is where your roots are, This is where your connection to the soil is. And perhaps more enticing, where the wisdom of our ancestors still linger. So by dieting a Western master plant or tree, you also revive the ancient tradition of your ancestors. I mean, I was so happy to find out that it's still there and it's still alive. And it's customary in local traditions to diet plants. There are many examples of rituals, chants, and spells that are and are still used to come in contact with the spirit of Western plants and trees. And another benefit also for people who are time poor is the ability to diet without having to leave time off from work, Saving your holidays really for a vacation. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this topic. So how to receive the most benefits from the diet? So firstly, live as clean as possible in body, mind, and spirit. And I mean, for the mind, detox from all distraction, avoiding as much as you can social media, but especially violent movies and pornography. Stick to a daily routine and the dietary requirements that I provide you with. So how does a typical day look like? You start with a morning ritual for your master plan diets. And I mean a morning ritual that could be lighting a candle, putting some music on, looking after your altar, just tune into your plant, just take a moment, deep breath, and then drink your tincture. Then you have breakfast, because your tincture you drink on an empty stomach. Then you continue with your daily normal activities. You go to work or you study or whatever it is that you do. During lunchtime, ultimately, you go outside for a walk in nature and you connect with your plant or your tree. Then again, continue with your normal activities. Then you come home, you pick up the kids or whatever you do, your grocery shopping, then you make dinner. And then afterwards, when it's a bit more quiet, there is room for an exercise perhaps, or a visualization, or maybe you do some sports or some yoga. And then there is a similar ritual than the morning ritual in the evening before you go to bed. So this is a typical day. So as you can see, it requires dedication and commitments. It's not easy. You need to trust the process and work through what it brings you. So during a diet, you will be confronted with your thoughts, your feelings, and your deep emotions. And sometimes that will not be joyful or ecstatic. On the contrary, you need to be really sure you want to do this, because there will be challenges, as I said. Guarantee you will visit your shadow side. It can be very chaotic, but it can also be tremendously joyful. So a plant diet is an investment in your own well-being, which ultimately will reflect and benefit your whole environment. And when you decide to embark on the journey of the diet, you will need somebody to assist you. And that brings me to the next subject. Why do you need guidance? Firstly, to process and integrate your experiences. The importance of proper guidance cannot be overstated. It is of utmost importance to have an experienced space holder and guide who understands the ins and outs of a Western master plan diet. And also a local guide, who has done multiple diets, him or herself. So a skillful guide lets you have your own experience, will not color the experience you have for you, and will also not share anything in regard to the energetic presence or entity of the plants. This will only set expectations, and it will not let you have your own experience. But rest assured, if you have an experience and you really want to share this with me, and I found some similarities or common ground, we can for sure explore this together. I would love to share, and if we have similar experience, this with you. Another aspect of proper guidance is when pain or challenges come up during your diets, it can be very difficult for you to put your finger on what's really bothering you, and it can make you feel stuck in your process. This is because trauma is so deeply embedded in your psyche. It is when you hit a blind spot, and it is this blind spot that prevents you from healing your own trauma. And this is, of course, is also the reason why a healer can be very good at healing other people, but not so good at healing him or herself. So an experienced guide will recognize and point out what's going on in your process and encourage you to confront your challenges. A good guide will also motivate and inspire you, of course, and help you continue your process and finish your diet. The role of a guide is to support you in your process, to listen, and if needed, to tune into your energy field, just in case of disturbances. he or she needs to hold space for you so you feel safe to open up and talk freely about your experiences. So when you open up, it is then when you receive the most benefits. So this is a quote by Kat, and she is the afterlife coach, and she also has medicine people on Instagram. And this says it all for me. So I share this quote with you. Choosing to embark on a diet without a guide is like hopping on a plane without a pilot. Well, that says it all. I can tell you a little bit about this. I experienced this myself when I came back from Peru, and then I embarked on my first Western master plan diet with Willow, because mostly I was seeking emotional health and desire to be able to better flow with what the universe was throwing at me at that time. So one night in the beginning of my diet with Willow, I woke up from a dream. And with this sentence in my head, and I wrote it quickly down. I fell back asleep. And the next day I looked at this sentence and it says, my body keeps the score. And I'm like, I didn't know what it meant. So quickly on the computer, and I looked it up, I Googled it, and it was actually the title of a book written by Bessel van der Kolk. I've got this book here. Bessel's book really changed how I look at trauma now. And it really helped me understand the pitfalls of my own trauma and how to heal it. He is talking about how trauma stays in your cells and how that influences your brain, and that's why you can't make progress. His book is and has become and still is a huge influence on how I understand the working of traumas. Bessel's workbook became, so to speak, my guide, and in a way, and how I dealt with the pain of the trauma that came up in my diet with Willow. He came sort of a substitute for a guide or a space holder. And then it became evident that I really needed an experienced guide that understood all the emotions that can surface and assist me through the process of the plant diet, the unbiased. So this will be exactly my role. And this is how the Plant Spirit Guru was born. Okay. Oh, I have many questions about the structure of the diets I offer. Yeah, the choice is actually really simple. You can create your own tincture, or you can buy a ready-made tincture from me. In both cases, I supply all the materials. Then you can choose between a diet for 2, 4, or 6 weeks. We can talk about this during the orientation call. In this orientation call, we discuss what plant or tree would be the perfect fit for you. We also discuss the best length for your diet, and if you want to make your own tincture or purchase a ready-made tincture for me. Plus, and this is crucial, we will find out if we are a good match. I will talk to you about the contents of the Plant Spirit Manual, which I wrote to support you during your diet. The manual is chock full of tips and exercises and techniques that I have collected and worked with over the past 25 years. And I will also explain the regular one-on-one Zoom calls we will have during your diet, and a bit more about the integration and how I will assist and support you in making your Western master plan diet an awesome experience. A master plan diet is the best investment for you, for your own well-being that you can give yourself. I will guide you through the whole process because I want you to have the best possible chance to succeed. I will be there traveling alongside you. My point is, and will always be, let the plant be your guru. So if you feel the call and are seriously interested to experience healing, protection, and guidance from a Western master plan diet, then I invite you to book an orientation call. You can book the orientation call by using the link in the following slides. And I have very limited spots available for the coming months. So now we're already rounding up, and I'm hoping that there are some questions. And I think there are. Okay, there's first a question from Anna. And she is a death and birth doula. Hello, Anna. And she asked, what plants would be beneficial for me to diet to get a better insight into the process that entails death and birth? Whoa, what a great question. Thank you, Anna. So let me just tune in. Oh, the first tree, that comes to mind, small tree, is the elder. Because the elderberry or the flower even, is all about the initiation process and the process of transforming the birth and death. So yeah, this is a really good one. Another one is the elm. Oh yeah, the elm also, which I already spoken about. This is also like a threshold tree. And it's in between that side of living and death. So also a guardian, really a guardian angel in that perspective. Nettle, yeah, but nettle is more for the birth, for the birth cycle, not so much for the death, because nettle brings the soul into your body. So you don't want to do that when somebody is at the end of their life and dying. So well, of course, there's a lot more to say about that, but I hope it gave you some sort of an answer to your question. All right, I've got another question from Natasha. Hello, Natasha. And this question is about perimenopause and hormonal. If I have, Willow. Willow really helped me during my perimenopause. Willow is regulating, so she is regulating, she gives you harmony, she's really women's medicine. And it takes you into the realm of really your deep emotions, but in a sort of a nurturing way, like you guide it along this path. Willow really, really helped me very much with that. Okay, do we have some other questions from Eugenia? Hello, Eugenia. Is tincture the only way to diet a plant? No, not really. You can also diet a plant through an infusion, but it takes a very long time. And in a social diet, you need a little bit more force, a little bit more strong. So a tincture made from alcohol or from glycerine. But alcohol is already the spirit. So the only way, that's a bit strong. But yeah, for me, it's worked the best. Let me put it like that. To me, plant always tells how to diet with it. You mean, okay, my husband's writing. It's not very good, but I think I know what you mean. So the plant will tell you how to diet. Yeah, that sometimes can happen. That's already what I explained, that a plant will come into your dream and he or she will tell you how long and when to start. Yeah, that is definitely also my experience. But you still need a guide. That's something I want to say. So you can have this fantastic dream or fantastic visualization about a plant spirit speaking to you, and you can commence a diet, but still be really careful. Without a guide, it's like what Kat said, it's like hopping on a plane without a pilot. And the tincture with alcohol, yes or no, I've already mentioned that. We can do glycerin as well. I hope that is satisfying for you, Eugenia. Otherwise, book a call and then we can talk about it more. What plant is good for my lungs? It's Angelica. Angelica is a very fantastic, also very protective plant, especially also with wards of evil and that kind of thing. But as soon as you inhale, and that is done with an essential oil, then, because we also work with that, we work with the full gamma. It's really a relief for your lungs. So yeah, that's Angelica. What diet helps with concentration and focus? Concentration and focus. Many help with concentration and focus. First that comes to mind is mugwort, definitely. There's a few. Yarrow is good. Dandelion is amazing. In the trees, there's the beech, which is really good. There's also the alder, the ash is also good. There's lots of them, but it depends really on what kind of concentration and focus you're after. Because again, this is a very broad, there's a lot of plants and trees that I mentioned, but it's a very broad thing to ask me. So yeah, I need a little bit more information from you. That's what I want to say. Another question. I have a busy life with a young family. Can I still do a diet? Yes, of course. Thank you for this question. This is why I advocate a social diet, because you can just continue your day-to-day business. So even if you have young children, you know, they'll be interested in your process. You can take them along and show them, you know, your altar, and they can of course not touch the tincture, but you can certainly maybe go do drawings about what happened to you during your journey, or during, you know, when you had to spend time with the spirit. You can talk to them about nature, about plant spirits. This will be for a lot of children like magic. So yeah, I would say absolutely yes. Another question from Eva. Hello, Eva. How many diets can you do in a year? And what are the best times to start a diet? Okay. Yeah, I would say 2. One in the part before summer and one in the part after summer. I never diet during the summer because it's just, I don't want to do the dietary requirements and there's too many restrictions. I want to have some fun in summer. So yeah, 2 diets, most definitely. The best time, again, I think in end of January, you know, when you came out of the Christmas thing and you're just feeling that, you know, that maybe you've done a little bit too much of eating or drinking and socializing, and you want to have some stillness in you. This is a good time. Also, of course, because I do the gathering, but I can teach you to do the gathering. But, you know, initially there's a lot of gathering during the summer months and after. So that is a really good time to get fresh material to make tincture. So yeah, does this answer your question, Eva? Okay, do I have more questions? All right. Okay. Oh, there's another one from Suzanne. She says, do you eat vegan food during a diet? Yeah, I am a vegan already. So for me, that's very easy. Vegetarian is good. Yeah, I'm hoping that you can have peace in your mind and peace on your plate, but that's entirely up to you. I understand if you're a meat eater that it's really hard for you to stop this. Although pork and beef and lamb is completely forbidden. That is really not a good match. But yeah, yeah, a fish or something like that is okay. But there are many more options nowadays, you know, and there's so many good recipes in how to make like substitutes for meat. So for me, and I come up in the dietary requirements with a lot of recipes and some links to some wonderful people who do easy vegan cooking. So yes, I would say yes. But I mean, I don't want to be this, you know, strict advocate and say that everybody needs to become a vegan. That is entirely up to you. And I will understand and not judge if you eat certain meats or fish. Okay, then we have a last question. And the last question, that is a very difficult one from Ellie. Hello, Ellie. This says, what is your favorite plant or tree? Oh, my dear goodness. Do I have to choose? Oh, this is so difficult. Mugwort, yeah, absolutely, 100% mugwort. Mugwort is really, really one of my favorites. Oh, I'm just so quiet now because I cannot really, I don't want to leave them out. The elder is really beautiful. Angelica is fantastic. Actually, I love all the trees. Rowan is one of my favorites and one of my childhood trees, which grew in my backyard. And it's just, I have such a deep connection with Rowan. Yeah, the elm I dieted became actually one of my favorite. Oh, pine, Scotch pine. Whoa, it's also fantastic. The birch, if you seek more light in your life and you feel sometimes, you know, that your heart is a little bit broken, that is a tree to diet when you feel a little bit lonely or depressed. Yeah, so many. Yeah, okay. Is there any more questions? I hope this get you some good answers. No more questions. Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, then I would like to end this webinar, and I will thank you very much for all showing up and all for your questions. And I think my husband has something to say to me. He's saying, oh yeah, he's talking about the call again. Yeah, please, if you feel serious, because I've got limited spots available, please book the call in the below link, and I would love to talk to you. And until then, I say good night. Bye-bye.